The summons still burned in Liang's hands as he returned to his quarters. The jade plaque lay heavy against his palm, etched with the crest of the Azure Heaven sect, its faint hum reminding him this was no ordinary decree. He set it carefully upon the small table, sat cross-legged before it, and closed his eyes. His mind should have been still, yet the echoes of the elder's words refused to quiet. 3 days hence. The hundredfold steps. The trial that had broken countless disciples, the trial now set before him not as reward but as judgment. Outside, the sect buzzed. Rumors spread with the ease of wildfire across dry fields. Outer disciples whispered of hope, of change, their eyes bright with the daring thought that one of their own might stand against the sky. Inner disciples scoffed more loudly than usual, though the edges of their laughter were sharp with unease. The duel had already cracked the old order. The steps would decide whether that crack closed or shattered the wall. That evening Liang slipped into the library as instructed. The great hall smelled of dust, ink, and sandalwood. Scrolls lined the walls like endless ranks of silent judges. At its heart, in a circle of lamplight, stood Elder Shen. His posture was unbent despite his years, his eyes still as water hiding unfathomable depth. "You came," Shen said, his voice quiet enough that it seemed part of the silence. "I was summoned," Liang answered, bowing. Shen studied him for a long breath before speaking again. "The hundredfold steps are not merely stone. They are a mirror. Each step does not weigh your body, but your soul. Your fears, your doubts, your attachments. The stronger your foundation, the lighter the climb. But cracks deepen." Liang frowned. "You mean the trial reveals weakness more than strength?" "Both," Shen said. He walked toward a shelf and retrieved an ancient scroll bound in faded silk. "The steps have stood since before the sect was founded. Disciples ascend them to prove worth, but also to measure truth. Many collapse before the 30th. A rare few reach the 60th. In all our records, only one reached the 100th. He unrolled the scroll, revealing the painted image of a man wreathed in firelight, his eyes blazing with golden qi. "The sect calls him founder." Liang stared at the image, heart tight. "And those who fall?" Shen's eyes flickered. "Some are carried away unconscious. Some awaken days later, their cultivation shattered. A few never rise again." The weight of the words pressed on Liang's chest. The trial was no simple test. It was a blade against the marrow. "Then why allow it?" Liang asked. If this story has you listening this far, subscribe to Azure Inkblade so the next chapter finds you instead of getting buried. It helps us keep making more of these every week. Now, back to the chapter. Why risk lives so freely? Because the heavens themselves witness the climb, Shen said softly. No elder's bias can sway the steps. To ascend is to prove not to us, but to the world, that your path is real. He paused, his gaze sharp. Understand this, Elder Sui proposed the trial not to honor you, but to break you. The steps will seize upon your cracks. If you doubt yourself, if you cling to fear or anger, you will not survive. Liang bowed his head, but his fists clenched at his knees. Then I will not falter. Shen regarded him with something almost like pity. Resolve is not enough. The steps demand more than defiance. They demand harmony within. He rolled the scroll closed, his voice dropping lower. Remember this when you climb, each choice devours the rest. Do not waste yourself on shadows that are not yours to carry. The words struck deep. Liang lifted his head to ask more, but Shen had already turned, fading into the library's maze of shelves, robes whispering against the stone. Left alone, Liang sat until the lamps guttered low. The silence of the library pressed around him, heavy with the weight of centuries. The ember in his dantian pulsed faintly, as though answering Shen's words, as though testing whether he could hold steady under such weight. The next 3 days blurred into preparation. Training drills doubled, then tripled. Outer disciples watched him with a mix of reverence and fear, as though his path might drag theirs upward or bury them all in the attempt. Zhao Ren appeared only once, standing at the edge of the training grounds with his arm still bandaged, his glare sharp enough to cut stone. He said nothing. His silence spoke more than taunts ever could. On the third morning, the bell tolled thrice. The sect gathered in full beneath the pale sky. Disciples filled the courtyards, stewards lined the walkways, elders descended from their private halls. At the far end of the square, the hundredfold steps rose from the earth itself, a staircase of ancient stone climbing into mist. Each step was etched with spirals faintly glowing, the air around them heavy as if pressing upon the chest before a foot ever touched them. Elder Sui stood before the steps, his smile cold. Disciple Liang. Before the heavens and the sect, you will climb. May the steps judge your worth. The crowd parted as Liang stepped forward. His breath slowed, the ember steady in his chest. Every eye was upon him, every whisper balanced on the edge of hope or scorn. He set his foot upon the first step. The stone pulsed beneath him, not with weight but with awareness, as if it had been waiting. The hundredfold steps had begun.